Oh man, we are back over here. It's your favorite two guys who talk shit about all the MCU movies.
I think we're pretty positive, except for like a few times.
On hyping these movies, on doing everything that's involved with these movies. You know what? We got it down to the T, to where we tell you all you need to know to keep this going on. But we're back, and we're here to talk about Doctor Strange. I am Jabril, the guy in charge of Brillvision.
This is Trey, and woo, another origin story. Are you jazzed up?
Yeah,
Are you pumped?
I am. I liked this movie a lot when I first saw it. I liked it, and I think we're going to find out that I still kind of like it.
You give me such mixed messages. I could have sworn this was on your shit list.
Here's the thing. When I say things like, my third time around, I noticed this. I didn't have that in theaters. I saw this movie once or twice.
And I'm sure we'll talk about the end at length, but I thought that was one of the really creative aspects of defeating a villain. We've never really seen that anywhere, to the point where it literally launched memes like Dormammu, I've come to bargain, is somewhere in the public zeitgeist. Yeah,
it's great. I didn't mean that specifically, but there's something around that time frame where it's it could be doing more. But we'll get into that a little bit later.
You literally reverse time. I don't know how much more you could do, but yeah, we'll hop into it. Doctor Strange is directed by Scott Derrickson. He's responsible. I believe he's the writer and director of movies like The Exorcism of Emily Rose and Sinister. And this was exciting for me because I thought that at this time in the MCU, we'd been seeing Marvel Studios playing around with different genres, and I thought that Doctor Strange was going to be more in the horror movie vein, so I was really looking forward to like a darker approach on this character, since mainly he deals in like cosmic realms and essentially hell, just different versions of hell that Doctor Strange has to go to. So I thought we would see a more horror movie approach to it. Sadly, that is not what occurred, but the director gave me hope for something like that. Maybe with the second movie, they could venture into some trippy visuals.
You mean like they did with Thor Ragnarok?
Well, Ragnarok, they played it for high comedy and space opera stuff, but I really feel like with certain characters, you have the potential to take them into very different directions. Like, do you think one day we'll ever just see a straight up drama in a Marvel movie?
I thought they make TV shows out of
brought
those.
To you by Marvel Studios kind of thing.
This is what happens when your powers go awry. I guess they already kind of did that, didn't they?
With who, though?
War is a little like that, isn't it?
Very downplayed superhero aspects of it, and shot in like a Gone Baby Gone kind of way. I wonder. But,
I hope we get there, and I would kind of like getting so far along in the Marvel comic movie, cinematic, whatever universe, as far as, to the point where we have 50 movies, and then we can really start picking apart the worst of the movies. Because it seemed like right now we're on Doctor Strange, but in reality, I think Black Panther was the last MCU movie that came out. So that's 15, close to 20 movies that had come out. When you had first started seeing... Right? When you were on like MCU number 3 or 4, what was that, Iron Man 2? Like, you were really like, I fucking love these movies. These are all great. And then like more and more come out, and you're like, you know which movie I hated?
Yeah. It gets to the point where we're nitpicking. And I think that's kind of the pratfall that I land into with this movie, where it's just another origin movie.
How dare you?
Has to hit certain
You didn't
beats.
Love this movie.
We'll get into why. But honestly, if I'm taking the lens of being spoiled by the last 20 movies off, then yeah, this is solid. It's a good movie, right? I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I'm not mad, but it has to hit a number of obligatory elements that make you go, okay, let's speed this up or something.
That's true. But the fact that it's an origin story is, even though it's the 13th or whatever Marvel movie to come out, it's his first. So give him a fucking break, dude. It's not like how Wonder Woman shows up in Batman and it's like, this is my third movie by the time she gets around.
No, I totally agree that they had to do it like this. I definitely probably would have liked it more if it came out as a Phase 1 movie. You know, if I saw this back in 2009 or something, I'd be like, yeah, it's awesome. And I think we were saying somewhere around the Incredible Hulk podcast, whenever we did that, 1999, that the MCU was starving for sort of mystical elements to it instead of dudes punching tanks in armor. So yeah, like,
well, you have to weigh that out with how many people who are like, who aren't just like us, who really love the MCU and we have our favorite, heroes. I feel like compared to the other kind of fanatic of comic books goes, where some people just pick one hero and stick with it. And for you, that could be Spider-Man. For me, that could be X-Men, or I guess not one hero, but one franchise. Mm-hmm. This guy likes Fantastic Four only, and it's because of this and that. Well, once they've done Fantastic Four, Hulk, Iron Man, Spider-Man, what's left? Like, Doctor Strange is very good, and you and me like him both, but who knows much about this character? I didn't know most of this shit going into the movie, to be honest. I'm a fan greater than a lot of others, but it's
fan greater. I see what you're saying, but the fact that they pulled off Guardians of the Galaxy means that they can go literally anywhere in their extensive roster of characters and lore throughout the decades to put something incredible on screen. So I'm not worried about them, I guess, running out of ideas, as it were.
It's popular characters, but no, you just killed what I said with Guardians, because I didn't know jack about them before that movie came out just as well. I was a bigger Doctor Strange fan than Guardians when that whole thing happened, so I'm assuming I knew more about Strange.
Last week a trailer came out that blew the lid off the internet, kind of like Kim Kardashian's ass. Did you see the Avengers Infinity War trailer Part 2, the second one?
No,
going into the last trailer before the movie hits theaters.
What I was saying was I saw her ass. So when that broke the internet, I was all about it. You mentioned it. This isn't random thoughts, but no, yeah, I haven't seen the Infinity War trailer, and there's someone at work, a coworker of mine, who asks me every day now, and it's funny because every day for the next 20 some days, I'm going to say no. I try to tell him at this point, there's no point.
Did you forget? Did you just not know?
Do you not remember, like, just watching the Superman versus Batman trailer? How that just I know the movie sucked, but like you knew it sucked like months before it came out.
Yeah, that was wonderful for me.
Well, what was the point? Okay, I guess you're kind of an exception, because did you see that movie in theaters?
Shit, I think I did. Yeah, no. What? Maybe Suicide Squad I saw it in theaters, and I waited till Batman v Supes came out on HBO.
Okay, well, good move, but whatever you tell me in this trailer is going to just ruin part of the movie for me, whether it be in a good way or a bad way. Ruin it as in, oh, I'm surprised that happened. Now I'm not going to be surprised during the theater. I don't like going in there doing that shit. Like,
oh wow, you're a purist, is what you're saying. You like going in there unsullied, like
exactly.
a fucking eunuch. How do you?
Why do I need to know?
How can you even pull that off in the internet era? Like, aren't you being, like you said, your coworkers constantly telling you how awesome it is?
Yeah.
Literally every time you walk past a newspaper stand, I'm sure they found a way to fucking holograph style put the YouTube clip on the front of a newspaper.
A newspaper.
Like, how are you avoiding this?
What year is it? Where do I live?
Don't you just open your phone and the trailer starts playing? Like, how have you not seen it already?
I think you're wildly overestimating how much is put on my wall on Facebook and Twitter. I don't have a lot of friends. Like, there's once I see an image of like a character who has different hair. I saw a picture earlier. It looks like Scarlett Johansson has blonde hair.
Uh-huh.
Okay, moving on. I just know not to look at it because
that's impressive.
Because why? Why not be surprised in the theater? Here's the thing. I thought commercials and trailers existed to drag a new audience. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, well, you're watching TV, your favorite show's on, SpongeBob, you're watching it. Boom, check out the Infinity War coming out 6 weeks, right? Well, you already had me buy my balls before this movie came out.
Like the Fry take my money meme? Okay.
Shut up and take my money.
I see what you're saying, but at the same time, it seems so incredibly difficult for Like, you have to be incredibly vigilant for the next, what do we have, like 20 days? Golly, we're not going to make it.
Yeah, but I also,
we really got to crank out some podcasts.
I don't spend that kind of time on.
I was going to say, is your YouTube profile curated so that all the nerdy stuff comes to you right away? To the point where you're worried about not learning anything else about the world except for reinforcing your own ideals.
As much as I love YouTube and me and Homeboy have a nice friendship, I don't spend all that much time watching videos on it on the daily. I do it once in a while when I need some help for the podcast, if I need to learn a different point of view that I don't normally have on my own. Hey, that's a great idea. I don't mind. But yeah, I'm not. I guess randomly I'll search YouTube for animals fighting videos. Damn, nature's scary, like those kind of videos. But I'm not looking to ruin my event in the future.
Yeah, no, I see your point. Literally, the last movie that happened to me with where I came in like a virgin was The Matrix. I had never seen a trailer for The Matrix or heard of The Matrix. In fact, the day I saw The Matrix, I had busted my lip playing basketball. Somebody headbutted me doing a spin move. So I was going into the theater really wonky from whatever pills you give for bleeding all over the place, and was just blown away by how incredible The Matrix was. I had no clue anything about it. So yeah, there is definitely something to be said for going into a movie without being spoiled. But it's 2016. I don't even see how you do that. So I don't even see how
you went into The Matrix high and you were wondering why it was a great movie.
No, I mean, Time has declared that The Matrix is, one of the definitive action movies of this era. But yeah, I just did not know in 1999 that was a thing until I saw it firsthand. So yeah, that was pretty gnarly. But yeah, I've thoroughly, not only have I seen the Avengers trailer, this recent one, but I've watched people talk about that trailer for hours.
Oh my God. What is the matter with you?
Just
what
ready,
is to be gained from all of this?
It's a vehicle for hype. I love hyping myself up.
We are the hype, dude. Wait a minute. This is the Infinity warm-up. So what are we warming up for? You stealing? You're channeling energy from an alternate dimension?
Okay. This is gonna be fun for me. What are you excited to see in Infinity War?
What do you mean?
What do you think the story's about right now that you haven't seen trailer? What do you think's gonna happen in this movie?
I get what you're saying, but you're acting like the last 25 hours of on-screen action hasn't been leading up towards is today we're going to go over the fifth stone, the time stone, right?
Oh yeah, so I think this does volume 2 introduce any stones? No. Homecoming, no. And Black Panther, no. So yeah, this is the last Infinity Stone. We'll see.
So so I guess we have to go over this now. So after the time stone, what are we missing? We did space.
Just the Soul Stone. Nobody knows where that is yet.
So, okay. You know what I've seen? You know what I saw that was Infinity War related besides our own podcast? There was this meme I saw on Facebook or whatever. I thought it was really funny. It's like a cartoon drawing of Thanos came to Earth and they're just like, I'm here to fucking kill everyone. And who was it? Tony, I guess? No. Okay, wait. It's God damn it! It's the Vision. He has like the Soul Stone or whatever, and he's just like, okay, well, whatever. That's in his head. I think if you pull it off, I don't know that he's still the Vision, but he has a stone, and he's just, and what's his name? Thanos is like, give me the stone. And he's like, you'll never get it. It's in this dog. And then the next image is like this dog being like torn apart over like 15 feet of actual like comic book panel, and then he's just like, you guys, you thought you just hide it from me and this dog? Well, who do you think I am? And then the next image is Keanu Reeves as what's his name from John Wick, and he's just like, hey guys, have you seen my dog?
Yeah, that's probably the only thing that could kill Thanos, just an angry John Wick coming at you. It's a fucking dog, man. He just shoots him right in the head. Golly, what a good movie.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, no, I still feel like you've answered my question. What
what am I looking forward to? Dude,
yeah, or what do you think it's going to be about?
I think it's going to... Okay, well, in one of the last credits that we saw in the last movie, Thanos goes, look, if you got to do it, if you can't trust anybody, do it yourself. And he puts on the glove, right? So this guy is coming over here to kick ass and chew gum, and I already know what most of his powers are, so I want to see them craft a story around this guy getting... Look, we all know what's going to happen here, all right? This is the Marvel Universe. This has been out for tons of fucking, at least 8 decades. They've been writing stories. What's going to happen, guys, to ruin this for you is Thanos is going to get a hold of the gauntlet and all the stones, and there's going to be a team there to stop him, and then he's going to try to use the stones. They're going to convince him something that he's too stupid to take over using, let's say, 1 stone at a time. And he's going to be like, all right, fine, space. And then everybody's going to go away, and then yada, yada. And then at some point they're going to defeat him by somehow separating the stone from the gauntlet, I suppose. He's going to go, I'll be back, Avenger.
That's actually a pretty good description of the trailer. So
I mean, the only thing I'm looking forward to is seeing, I suppose, all these graphics and all my favorite celebrities on camera doing some kick-ass shit. I mean, it's
the different interactions and whatnot. Okay.
I mean, right now, because we haven't heard anything about this. They're gonna make... I'm making this up, by the way. Okay. They're gonna make a favorite kid. They're gonna make a movie about what's Cable's son's name? That broken ass motherfucker, Nate Gray, right?
Scott Summers. Oh, whoa! They're gonna make an X-Man movie.
I'm making this up. Now, aren't you hyped? Because you've read about X-Men. This dude's dope as shit, right? What do you have to look
just heard you say that you're making it up, so kind of mad at you.
Wouldn't you be like, oh my god, what are they gonna do? Like, you don't need to see what they're gonna do in bits and pieces. You just watch it at once.
Fair enough. Well, you have seen the Deadpool trailer, of course. It's not tied to the MCU, so we can comb over this because they're introducing X-Force in this, and granted, X-Force has had multiple iterations in the comic books, but I recognized a few of the people that they put on the screen behind them. But just on the whole, how are you feeling about this Deadpool sequel?
Well, okay, so coming from this is very fresh in my mind. I haven't had a lot of time to think about this. I just now watched this preview, folks. But the first thing is why are they using the character who's cast as Thanos to play Cable? That's crazy. Could you not think of anyone? I saw recently that apparently this guy's ultimately from the Goonies, which is fucking hilarious. I had no idea. He's like the older brother who was like riding his little sister's bike. Brolin.
Yeah.
You know his name.
I know his IMDb.
Do you remember the Goonies?
Yeah, vaguely.
This guy's gonna play Thanos. Which is great. But I mean, it's this whole Michael B. Jordan's in more than one franchise. What's his name? Chris Evans is in more than one. Like, I get it. We're going to run out at some point, but could you not find anybody else? It's lit. The last movie literally starred people from another continent. Like, none of them were from here. Maybe that one guy. It's like, you casted a whole movie. It's like, we can't find any better actors, or is that guy just the dopest shit? It's weird.
They've done a good job at not casting people where the continuity will become an issue. In fact, the most egregious thing the MCU has did to this date is the same actor from Luke Cage, the Black Mariah, is in Civil War as the lady that confronts Tony Stark in the elevator. She's actually a pretty prominent character and still very much alive. And in the Luke Cage Netflix series. So that's a bit of an oversight on their part. But Josh Brolin is a giant purple, space-destroying monster in the MCU. But in Deadpool, he's just a space-destroying monster with a robotic arm. So
he's just not a Titan, doesn't have all those powers. He's still pretty fucking awesome.
You could put them next to each other, and I don't think people would bat an eye.
Maybe. I thought you were saying earlier how they haven't fucked up their own timeline as far as the actors go, because I was about to say, wait a minute. Has Mark Ruffalo played a Hulk movie yet? Or was that Edward Norton?
Well, there have been a few recasts. So the Hulk, a big one, obviously, but Fan Harrell The one of the Warriors 3 from Thor has been recast, but they've all been murdered
the good-looking
off.
guy, right.
Blondie locks, yeah. And something or the other happened, but yeah,
I'm not nitpicky
just...
about that part. I'm talking about prominent characters here.
Yeah. So when the first Deadpool movie came out, I liked how they did the advertisement for it. It was sort of like a Ryan Reynolds passion project to have Deadpool done correctly on screen after that awful appearance in that Wolverine movie. Like, he was just distraught with how Deadpool was portrayed. So I forget the name of the company, but the original trailer that we saw for Deadpool 1 was, in addition to just being hype as fuck, it was also a pitch to the studio Fox to make the goddamn movie already. So I think some of the magic about the first movie was captured in how it came to fruition. So seeing the trailer for this one, it might go back to our conversation we had a little bit earlier about ruining surprise and anticipation, but it's not that I'm not so much hyped for this one. It's just that I feel like Deadpool's always been sort of a Jack Sparrow character that has to needs other people to propel his plot forward so that he can be a goofball and not take anything seriously.
Well, he did a great job in the first one, but it does kind of have me thinking, like, movies that end up doing that well on the first run do not seem to have a good path or follow the same path on the second and third. Maybe it's not even that they didn't follow it. It's just that I think you and I were talking about this earlier, where it was set up to be a one-off, where it's like, oh, well, you guys want to make a sequel? Do you guys know, like if we were to redo a lot of those same jokes, it'd be like, say you liked, what was that movie that was Shanghai Noon? Say you liked Shanghai Noon.
Okay.
I don't know why you would, but I liked it a lot. Did you like Shanghai Nights? No, it was the exact same yet opposite. Like, whatever this guy said at at this moment, this guy said this movie, and whatever he did, or whatever his thoughts were. Like, if he had second guesses about being my teammate, now I'm thinking about him. They literally 100% reverse the roles, and then they draw a different background, which is now they're in China. Okay. And it's like, it doesn't set up for a good, not tertiary, but a third movie.
I totally forgot those movies even existed. Was it Owen Wilson in both of those?
Yeah.
That's incredible. I keep forgetting that Jackie Chan tried so hard to be America's favorite child. And I loved his earlier stuff with, like, Rumble in the Bronx, but he went through, like, a Chris Tucker, Owen Wilson phase where who's the hottest American actor? Put him next to me and we'll do flips together.
Why? But, okay, Chris Tucker, everyone loved Chris Tucker at some point. Who the fuck likes Owen Wilson? Who prefers?
Dude, who doesn't like Owen Wilson's nose? Owen Wilson's nose has his own Wikipedia page, all right?
Does it really?
That is my favorite person's nose. Let's take a break and hop into Doctor Strange. After a horrible car accident, brilliant neurosurgeon Stephen Strange must find a way to cure his hands. They're all broken and shit. I downloaded this off of something. His quest brings him to Camertage in Nepal, where he studies under the Ancient One, played by Tilda Swinton. Camertage, whatever. He says it like 5 times. Already. The Ancient One, who teaches him the ways of MMA, with new skills of interdimensional travel and spells and all kinds of cool shit. Strange soon discovers that he must protect the world from a deadly enemy, Caecilius, and Dormammu, who is bent on conquering all reality. That is what transpires in this movie. Have I missed anything major in this run-of-the-mill origin story?
No, you got about everything. That's pretty good.
Alrighty. This movie opens with a beheading. Yeah, right out of the gate. We're going dark. for cutting the librarian's head off.
Yeah, no dialogue, by the way. Like, all that, probably like 35, 40 seconds of screen time went by. This guy lost his head. I mean, you see it, like, you see them set up for it, but they only show you the shadow of his head coming off. Still, though, Disney, holy shit. But not a fucking word spoken that entire time.
That was pretty neat. And it gave me hope for the horror movie aspect of it, but it made that go away. But yeah, and I thought that would like be necessary, like they would use his severed head in like a ritual to bring about something. But no, it just seemed like a very mean thing to do to a bookkeeper.
No, it's like, well, what bookkeeper? Oh yeah, okay. I see. I'm lost at times between like who's in charge of the sanctum versus who's just the librarian. You know what I mean? Did you get that feeling at all?
Midway through the movie, there's a scene that gets a little confusing, but how he's transported to the New York sanctum, it's kind of just deserted. Like nobody's really hanging out there, you know? So it's, I guess you wear multiple
one
hats.
guy's he's like at the door waiting, right?
Yeah. But he could have been a butler for all. Well, no, he actually said that he was in charge of this sanctum. You shall not pass type shit.
Yeah.
But it was literally
no
him,
one
though.
there to help him. Not a student. Nobody. Strange is the newest guy who joined since Pangborn, I suppose. But so let's see. I feel like not long after this, you see the Ancient One come to stop Caecilius. Now, you don't see her face yet, which is very important, because you end up finding out that she has that symbol that's kind of, if you're a Dragon Ball Z fan, she's basically Majin Buu when she does this. She's got the spirit of the Majin or whatever. She's borrowing energy from another
Dormammu carving on her forehead.
But so she's trying to stop Caecilius, who for some reason only took 2 pages and not the whole book.
Yeah, it's bad because it becomes a major plot point, or not major, but it's how Strange finds out.
The whole the sum of the movie is wrapped up by like the next 2 pages. If he didn't leave that book there, what's his name wouldn't know shit about time.
True, and it's not like he was pressed for time. I mean, he cut off the head of the only guy who was going to stop him. Well, like I guess the Ancient One shows up seconds later, and he was about to fight her, and then he's like, let's just run instead. Well, okay. But yeah, he could have easily grabbed the entirety of the book, thus stopping the rest of the movie.
So, so what you just brought up is perfect, because the audience knows nothing. I don't just mean our audience. I mean the movie's audience knows nothing about this next line. Like, she starts moving buildings around, and like, all we're supposed to thinking is, oh shit, Ancient One, this bitch is super powerful. He calls her a hypocrite. No idea why. Apparently, turning buildings around is some power you get from, or dark power you get from the dark realm. That's not spoken of at all. If you'd have seen her head, because like I said, she has her hoodie on, you can't see her head, you'd see the symbol pop up. That's how you know she's borrowing power from a different realm. But you don't see that shit. So when he calls her a hypocrite, it's like, why'd you call her a hypocrite? Because Caecilius gets this power later in the movie once he gets his Majin Buu symbol.
I think you're a little wrong there. The ability to make buildings fold in on themselves is a product of the mirror dimension. I don't think that was particularly tied to Dormammu.
But not everybody can do that in the mirror dimension.
No, I mean, years of training and whatnot allows you to control the mirror dimension.
Well, I guess when could Strange, because he started doing it too, or no?
Yeah, he did it midway through. That's how you get the second mirror dimension scene. Where
okay, so then why did he call her a hypocrite? Because of the mirror dimension? Well, I guess that's a dark dimension.
Draws her power from Dormammu, which we find out later in the movie.
So so I'm basically right though. Overall, you don't know shit. He calls her a hypocrite, and it's just like, why? You have powers too, and he's like, not like this.
But I'm not too mad at that. Some of the best movies drop you off in the middle of an action sequence and don't really hold your hand and allow you to experience the movie and then get your questions answered later. Like The Matrix famously opens up with that Trinity scene. and you're in the cop's perspective of what the fuck is happening. Why are these people jumping so high and all that? So yeah, I'm not too mad at that. Caecilius, though, played by Mads Mikkelsen. How do you like our main antagonist? As a foil for Doctor Strange.
I'm glad you know his name, because I just know this guy's face. And if you've watched the other Disney franchise, Star Wars, you'll know that this guy starred in 2 huge Disney movies in the same year. He pulled the Sam Jackson. Yeah, he's like the guy who built the Death Star. Like, this guy, his roles are fucking huge, and he's in Marvel and Star Wars. God damn. That must have been a huge payday for him. But I like that. His character was supposed to be Mordo. That's what I know from my cartoon watching of Spider-Man and whatever movies Doctor Strange showed up in, is Mordo's the dude who's trying to bring Dormammu, who's supposed to be this guy who looks like the Human Torch with a suit on.
Yeah, this character, Caecilius, pretty much all of the story given to him actually goes to the Baron Mordo character. In fact, Caecilius isn't really mentioned in the comic books pretty much at all. Like an appearance or so in the 60s, but that's about it. So I thought this was a cool way to have Mordo be important if they ever do a Doctor Strange 2. I'm sorry, I said when they do a Doctor Strange 2, they can have a more fleshed out Mordo, since now we've gotten to see him be a good guy and train under the Ancient One. But the whole aspect of his character being a disciple of the Ancient One who learned about the dark arts and turned evil after he distrusted his teacher and yada yada, all of that goes to Mordo. And in a roundabout way, that is eventually what the character of Mordo in this film becomes, distrusting the Ancient One, straying from the path, and now he's hunting sorcerers and generally has a mat on for Doctor Strange. So in the end, it kind of lines up. But I thought it was weird using a pretty much a brand new character. But I mean, I guess what's his name from Iron Man? Not Killmonger, Ironmonger. Ironmonger wasn't really well known until we got to see him in the theaters. And for that matter, Killmonger. Nobody really knew Killmonger was. Yeah. So yeah, why not make up a new character to throw him against Strange? Pangborn is 100% a new character to Marvel. He wasn't in the comics at all. He basically acts as a catalyst. And when we get to that scene, we really should talk about how lucky. I shouldn't say lucky, but he shouldn't have been able to find a guy playing a game of pickup basketball under a bridge in a cage somewhere in New York. But whatever. Right, so I think even how he found out that information from the rehabilitation guy was sort of lucky too. Like out of the only other person that has been to Kamar-Taj to receive his spiritual healing, the odds of you finding him.
It was way too smooth. You ever know anybody to come back from this? One guy. and he had no back and his shoulder hurt.
Ass wrong, then yeah.
His shoulder was hurting from the wheelchair. Like, what does that even mean?
I'm willing to say it was fair enough because he exhausted his sizable account and income finding other means of a cure. But yeah, I thought that was strange. Do you want to talk about the visuals of the mirror dimension? Because that was pretty neat. I think it was heavily borrowed from the Christopher Nolan movie Inception.
No.
Did you ever get to watch the Did you watch this movie in 3D in theaters when you saw it?
I saw neither in 3D to answer any further questions.
Shame on you. You're just not a fan of 3D, are you?
It's entirely true to answer the last question.
There are some movies that deserve it, though. Like, I feel like specifically the mirror dimension sequence and when we get to see the Ancient One knock Doctor Strange into just this LSD psychotic trip that he has out of body experience into the astral dimension, like that looked very insane in 3D. Yeah, that was impressive. That was worth the price of admission. like Ant-Man's whole sequence. But yeah. As far as seeing the visuals again now that I've rewatched this film, you can notice that while they're folding the buildings in on each other, it has like a cut and paste aspect of them taking different parts of the city and just pasting them over each other. Like the same building is in a lot of the same shot. It's like a kaleidoscope more than anything.
Yeah, they showed that kaleidoscope effect a few times when he was when she first put her thumb on his forehead and made him go all the way through those dimensions.
Yeah. How his hands were growing on his hands and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was just this whole scene where he fell in and you just saw this image just revolving on itself. I mean, it was cool. I didn't want to wait the 30-some years, however old I am, to see this movie just because they couldn't do that on camera before. That's fine. Are you kidding me, man? The first X-Men movie came out in like 2000. Like 16 years before this came out. I would have been totally turned on to a Doctor Strange around then.
Oh yeah. How other directors just didn't really trust the that it would translate well to the screen.
Maybe you couldn't do the mirror dimension back then, but I don't think that was all that necessary for me to see this movie. I think it made people who were high and just inebriated get the movie like in a different effect, but it was like the movie wasn't exactly full of that. Because are you
saying that there's no room for like psychedelic aspects in film?
I'm saying they spent a lot of money on that, and I don't know that it was necessary to do so much. Like, I got it. I mean, unless you're going to become into contact with these other realms, I don't know that I need to see them. Like, I don't know that we need to wait until this point in technology to throw a Doctor Strange movie out here when it could have been done a long time ago. Like, if that was what kept them from it before, which it seems like it was, unless they waited for this specific actor.
No, from what I understand is just, especially with the X-Men movie, you're meant to understand that directors and producers, in general higher ups that throw money at these projects, just don't trust that it'll be received well by an audience to put Wolverine in yellow spandex and really embrace the cartoonish comic booky side of this. And you've seen that go away. I want to say with the MCU, but maybe even going back a little bit further as superhero movies became more popular, that they're willing to embrace sort of a weird side to it. But Doctor Strange has always been on the fringes of weirdness, on strangeness, if you will. Yeah,
maybe that's why they use that.
The
for
kaleidoscopic and off the wall MC Escher-esque color schemes of Doctor Strange. In the '60s, like readers were like, "Are these comic creators like on drugs or something? This is weird." so it's always been a theme in the comic books.
I feel like I don't know that I would have wanted to have been like alive in the 1950s, but I mean, or even the 40s. Whenever these. I don't know that I want to. I'm not talking about you, bruh. Just to experience like reading these comics, because I'll never read them now. And I mean, like, writing has gotten better now. You know what I mean? Like back then, like what is acceptable is, conversation.
Yeah, fuck that Shakespeare guy. I don't know. I don't know what he was on.
to buy this comic for 10 cents, which is $2 or $3 right now, like to be reading like Doctor Strange number 42 and 43, like that would have been so awesome. I'm never going to read them now, so now I get to deal with what we have now, which is not a lot of cartoons, which I'm mad at, tons of comics, which I'm not going to buy, but they're all new. They're revamped by now. It's like, I feel like I like the old, like when I hear about the comics old origin, about the old story, about how it originally started, and I read about it now, it's totally different. And I don't know, it kind of turns me off sometimes to the character. I don't like Spider-Man. Like when we get to Spider-Man next, we'll find out about how Spider-Man doesn't have all Spider-Man's powers. But he's still Spider-Man.
But I mean, that's different generations of nerds are going to be upset over different aspects and iterations of the character, and that's why I like keeping an eye on everything going on with Star Wars, because you're really seeing this big generational gap of fans yelling at each other from across the internet to see the different interpretations of how they feel their character should act, and even the actor Mark Hamill is getting in on the action, saying that, I don't feel like Luke Skywalker would behave a certain way and whatnot. But to an extent, I feel for some of the comic book artists and writers who have to revamp the character for a different day and age, and especially since these comic book characters don't age, which is another thing in watching the last 10 years of film and watching Robert Downey Jr., one Tony Stark, age out of the role, and what they're going to do with Phase 4. It's incredibly interesting, and it's bound to
age out of the role.
Make a few people angry. Yeah.
How much tell me something outside of like him living his Playboy billionaire lifestyle and like the one per movie scene where he just makes a new element. How much do they really need Downey on the screen?
Like, are you just saying
I know
that
the
they
character
could
Iron Man. I know there's two different sides of the character, but what does he need to do that he's aging out of?
Hey, good point. Are you just saying that they can have the Iron Man armor and just film like a bunch of heads-up display scenes so that he never has to take his mask off again? Because I'm totally on board with that. I'm tired of characters taking their mask off.
Does he do that in the comics where he shows up to the bad guys and he's just like, boom, takes off my helmet and starts talking shit? Like, why wouldn't you keep your helmet on? The game's not over. Those are the bad guys.
Yeah, I see your point, but at the same time, like, Spider-Man orders like a cup of coffee from Starbucks and full mask and whatnot, and that can't really fly in the grounded cinematic universe that we're in right now.
I'm saying there's two different scenes. There's him fighting. That's just the Iron Man costume, right? Anybody with that on, and when we need to see visuals of him, they just put that thing on his head like he's in a box, and then there's just these screens in front of him telling him where Pepper Potts is.
Yeah, no, like, he could film those scenes from home if they so choose to.
Exactly. And then when he needs to be Tony Stark, which what was the last movie we saw? The Civil War, or where he was just like, because he was talking shit about how he lost Captain America the first time. He was just like, oh, well, I was just me and I had loafers on and I didn't have my Iron Man costume on. Like, so I had to fight as Tony Stark. That scene never needs to happen again, ever. You don't need him to be on the battleground without his armor. Don't make a story. Tell the writers. Don't make the story where Robert Downey Jr. is fighting as Robert Downey Jr. He's walking around fucking bitches as Robert Downey Jr. And then he's some guy in an Iron Man costume in all the other scenes.
I mean, let's not forget they're all living in his house right now. Who's putting coffee grounds in the garbage disposal?
Talking about the movie, we find out as an audience how intelligent the character of Doctor Strange or Stephen Strange is, right?
Yeah, and I think he's a good comparison for Tony Stark and and their arrogance and douchebaggery.
And then he's like talking smack during surgery about how when exactly music comes out and is released. He does it through the entire movie. If you notice, there's like 3 scenes where he talks about it. I think one of them he's in a wheelchair.
Yeah, he's a big music buff. Beyonce and all that.
It just shows the level of intelligence from this guy. And then like once he just goes, okay, well, I can't use my hands anymore, or in this way, he just goes, all right, well, so I'll just become a dope ass sorcerer. And in I don't know, the span of a couple of months, just summing up this movie, not that we haven't seen it before, a couple of months, he becomes the Sorcerer Supreme.
Do you think it's a couple months? I mean, without going down
less than a year.
Slippery slope of the timeline in the MCU. There was that scene in the Winter Soldier where what is that Shield agent's name? Whatever, Stonewall.
Crumb.
The guy that gets killed by the guy that gets pulled out of a car and thrown into traffic. Agent Sitwell. Yes. He name drops Doctor Strange, and this is back in like 2014 or so. Yeah. So I'm under the impression that Doctor Strange has been around since 2014, or at least around at the time of Winter Soldier. So do you think that his training has taken a little bit longer, or is it not even worth worrying about?
Well, if he had him like documented, like it wasn't just because he was a neurosurgeon, it's because he was already Sorcerer Supreme, right?
Well, the reason Sitwell gave is that anyone who is a threat to Hydra is being monitored. So I don't think they would just be monitoring some random genius neurosurgeon. Like, oh, this guy's going to be the Sorcerer Supreme one day. So I'm under the impression that he had already obtained the title back in 2014, but that can't make much of any sense, right?
I don't know what he's been. Well, I guess him in the Thor Ragnarok movie puts him at a different at that time slot. He's a much better sorcerer, right? He's already the best. I know he got the gloves, so he looks. I know some time has passed from here to there.
I just don't feel like it can be months, because doesn't it take a while? Like, the students at Hogwarts had to go through like 4 years of formal schooling to learn everything about magic. I don't think he could just learn it over a summer. And granted, he was using his astral projection to read while he was sleeping, but still, you could throw that in, and on top of that, he has a photographic memory. So, yeah, maybe a few months. Maybe a few months to become the best sorcerer in the world. Well, before he becomes the Sorcerer Supreme, we get to see the biggest PSA on texting while driving, and a horrific car accident that leads him to cameratage, as it will, and the what's his name, Jonathan Pangborn scene. Yeah, so after
dude, that scene where he falls off that mountain, like you see his hands just grab the steering wheel, and then just it meets the dashboard.
Oh yeah,
It just because I rewound that like 3 times, and I was like, what exactly broke his hands? This is very important for the entire movie. It's very important all the way up until the end that his hands are still broken.
Yeah, that is weird. I thought they'd be somewhat fixed, but
I guess they work, but he has that Marty McFly thing, which stops him from doing surgery. But he keeps that throughout the movie, even though he has the power to change time.
Well, I'm sure there's some other things he could do about fucked up hands that fall under the guise of magic as well.
Like, you could use it to replace an apple, which costs $1.29 a pound, or you could just fix your hands. Save a couple $100,000.
I guess what you're meant to understand from Pangborn is that he's using magic to walk, which takes away from his ability to use magic in other ways. Like, he's putting so much concentration into keeping his spine from turning into jello that he's not able to conjure up more advanced spells. Or that he just walked away from the entire cameratage experience.
Well, what did he say? Well, I know what he said. He said that he didn't have the strength to receive them. So yeah, he probably just gave up. Like Stephen Strange left the country and was willing to, live there, and he was just like, "Fuck it." That's kind of what I was saying earlier. He's just like, I'm here. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm super duper smart. So what would Tony Stark do essentially in this field? He would just absorb all the knowledge, and this dude found a way to do it in the mystic arts. So while he's sleeping, he was literally studying and conjuring spells for like 19 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
He was eating and shitting the rest of them.
He learned MMA real quick. And going back to that car accident sequence, I like how it was shot and edited, and that you're just kind of waiting for it, because I believe everybody going into the theater knew that, it's a car accident that fucks up his hand. So the entire time he's on that mountain pass, you're watching him look down at his phone.
Right.
You're watching the road all windy and like cars going by. I'm like, okay, when is this horrible thing
cars going by? Occur? He drove past every car. There was no car on the opposite side of the road. It was
you mentioned earlier on the phone.
There was a couple of calls that not a couple of calls. There was a couple of examples that before the one that he took. There was the first one. What does it say? A 33-year-old guy, his spine was messed up. I thought that was War Machine, I suppose, because after the whole in the Civil War, after he got shot down by Vision, I was like, I guess that would make sense. But then I was like, I guess it'd make even more sense if it was that character from Iron Man 2. The guy in the Justin Hammers outfit, where he's like, all right, lift up, your leg, and he's like, all right, and it just
Yeah,
he just did a
turns
180 with from the waist up.
Pretty much, yeah. So I'm willing to bet that is him, and he's not worth saving. Apparently,
but
yeah.
one of the other two makes sense that it would be Miss Marvel, right? Which one do you think it would be?
I'm sorry, I was waiting for a horrible car accident to happen. I only caught the one. I only caught the one.
How did you watch the movie? I'm wondering.
I saw it in theaters and then rewatched it again through the glorious Netflix. I assume it's a free service, but I know I'm paying for it.
Netflix is going to carry us through the next movie, but after that, I don't think they're picking up Spider-Man, dude. Might have to spend money on this one.
We just got to remember. Okay, fair enough. So yeah, he sees a Pangborn who says that, his mind was lifted, but he wasn't able to receive the rest of the teachings. But he says, fuck it. Spends his last dollar to go to Nepal and wander around the streets, literally wandering around the streets, asking anybody, hey, do you know where I can find Kamar-Taj? I'm looking for someone called the Ancient One. You there, random baker.
What else?
On the side of the road. I don't know. Maybe don't go door to door like a crazy whitey. That's how you get mugged in back alleys.
That's true. So he's only so smart, is what we're saying, Mr. Doctor Strange.
Yeah, and that's where he runs into Mordo, and subsequently Tilda Swinton
runs into Mordo. He gets his ass kicked by 3 guys after he tries to punch one of them in the face and finds out that his hands are still broken. And then Mordo waits for them to beat the shit out of him. And then he comes in, and then he's
this
just
kid's got heart.
He was watching him that whole time. Like, he took forever. What an asshole. He's like, okay, now that I've let them kick your ass, I'll take you to go see the Ancient One. I don't know that it's up to her if she'll accept you or not. That's as far as I'll take you for taking that ass whooping. Here's your broken watch. Given you from this girl who you claim to have no history with. Tells you, we find out at the end of the movie, the other side of this watch, it says something about the love that she has for Doctor Strange, for Stephen.
Oh, is this the
Christine?
Christine? Is that
Palmer.
her name?
Christine Palmer.
Yeah, I completely forgot about the character.
Played by Rachel McAdams, who still looks just gorgeous
too.
in this movie. I know she's like 43, but...
Is she? Wow. Okay. I know she was originally up for the role of Pepper Potts.
Damn, that would have been
turned it down
so
due to
much
scheduling conflicts. Really? You don't like Gwyneth Paltrow? She's like a beautiful giraffe.
That was like the after, I think, the second one. That was like the end of her youth, I suppose, and she didn't age well. To me, for a star,
you're a horrible person.
I know. Hey man, you know what I'm saying?
Speaking of awful things to say about genders, how do you feel about the phrase is whitewashing of Asian characters, but it's now gender watching to the point where I think they convoluted it so much that Tilda Swinton is beyond reproach in this role. Because Tilda Swinton as a person is an incredibly androgynous human being.
Mm-hmm.
But
are we talking about the Ancient One, the bald chick?
Yeah. The character of the Ancient One is supposed to be an old Asian man. Instead, it's a white woman played by Tilda Swinton. And because they've gender bended it so much, I don't really think you can even complain about it. Plus, Tilda Swinton is just a go-to for morally ambiguous characters. So
yeah, I don't know. I've seen her do it before. John Constantine, she played Michael
Gabriel. Yeah, the Angel of Death. Shit. Actually, no, not the Angel of Death. Just the right hand of God.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about that scene a little bit because he's in there to receive medical treatment for his hands, and he understands via Pangborn that this is a largely mystical place where you're going to go and something about chakras and whatnot. But once the Ancient One tells him and shows him like the book of like pressure points and acupuncture and whatnot, he becomes immediately dismissive of the entire notion of Eastern philosophy, essentially. But he knew that going in, that he wasn't looking for like a surgical consultation. He knew he was going on here on some weird shit in a back alley in Nepal. So I thought it was weird that he got all uppity with the Ancient One about, I see through you. That nonsense, you know? Like, yeah, did you find it weird for his character to be very dismissive of the mystic arts?
I still didn't know much about him at that point. I mean, I don't know. I guess you're right.
Yeah, if you go by his conversation with Pangborn, like he even filled in the dots for Pangborn once he was talking about like you had a separation in your G2 spinal column hoopla. Mm-hmm. How did that get fixed? It's like, yeah, I went there and they focused my chi into something and you know, Strange puts together that, oh yeah, so you were able to mentally put your shit back together, and now that he's in front of the Ancient One, he's like, I don't believe in chakras and fairies and all that shit.
He's still not listening to Mordo when he says, forget everything you think you know.
Yeah, there's a lot of not listening to people. She kickstarts that process by knocking his astral form out of his body.
What'd you do to me? What's in that tea?
Yeah, essentially an acid trip. I dosed you with acid and am now spiraling you through the infinite. It was a pretty gnarly sequence, aided incredibly by awesome. 3D.
Yeah, it was totally awesome. And like Mordo's just like, I think his heart rate's getting a little high, and then she kind of pulls him back. She's like, nah, he looks fine.
Looks okay. Let's throw him back in there.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
And this gets to the part of the movie that I didn't really care for, which is the training scenes. All the training montages, all of the learning, so much boots of Cagliostro, the staff of Watum, so much don't read this book, don't look that way, who's this person, how old's the Ancient One? It just turned very Iron Man in a cave. Yeah. Only less he built it with scraps and more but reading while sleeping.
The longer you're there, the more questions you're going to want answered, right? Plus, I want to say something else. Across the screen, they put, where they are, like Kathmandu, Nepal. And I want to say in this movie, it was great. It was crazy. It was crazy how the fucking font was like 1/10 of the screen instead of putting London.
What do you have against giant title cards?
That's so stupid. Did you not notice it? Like, because now the font is there and you see it. It's like, oh, look, they're in Nepal. And I can see the, everything around the words instead of including the entire screen with words so you can't see anything, even though we've included a background. Can't believe I'm the only one who's just up in arms with that. God damn it, Avengers 2. You guys are retarded.
I'm sure people will commiserate with you on that one.
But, there's also this scene where Stephen Strange is having a hard time conjuring up anything. And then, he's talking with the Ancient One, and she gives him this little speech. I had it written down, but I mean, I basically remember what it says. She's just telling him, look, you can't beat a river into submission. You just have to surrender to its current and use that flow as your power. And he's still just hard-headed about it. He's like, surrender to the current? It doesn't even make any sense. And then she goes, not everything has to. And it's like, wait, no, stop agreeing with him. It makes perfect sense. That makes 100% sense. It's very simple. Turn around and use that flow towards your, it's like, do you not understand how this works? It doesn't make any sense. Not everything has to. Just slap him across the head and say, you're retarded. It makes perfect sense. Use its energy as yours. You can't control it, but manipulate it. And just surrender to it. I don't understand.
Hey man, not everybody watched every Bruce Lee movie. All right,
I didn't watch most Bruce Lee movies. It's like I understood that right away, and I'm not supposed to be as smart as this character is supposed to be. And I was like, that's a simple concept. And she literally breaks it down to water. Don't fight the current. Roll with it.
Well, she said this in response to him using his sling ring to create just a portal, right? Is that what this was for?
I think he was failing at more than one thing. He couldn't create that. He also couldn't conjure up the shield. He was having trouble in both areas, and then she kind of called him out. But, so about that sling ring, is that a relic?
Yeah, not really. Relics are more special, but I guess it's created in like a magical factory.
Go back. No, don't move forward. Hold on. We're on the. They're more special. What's more special than a portal?
Yeah, right.
That's insane. It's a relic, right? You don't want to be trapped in this diamond or whatever it's called realm without your sling ring. You can't go anywhere without. This is basically the space stone.
I'm only saying it's not a relic because there was like a table where a bunch of other people just sort of picked up sling rings like it was an ID card to scan into work.
Yeah,
you know?
And he said earlier that
usually relics aren't that.
But
aren't
the
just
idea.
lying around like that.
Okay, so they kind of contradict themselves because like, what's his name has like 3 relics. Okay, Mordo, he's got those boots. Mm-hmm. And then he's got like he could pick up that staff.
The Wand of Watum.
Yeah. Wand of Watum. Okay, so he says the relic will choose you, but apparently you get more than one. So it's kind of like a Final Fantasy game. If you've ever played any, you can
can collect as many as you want until you have to
hold
empty out your treasure chest and
you
fucking
just swap through and just be like, I want this one and that one, and this one just one cooperates with that one. Yeah.
Essentially, yeah, he's playing an RPG.
Okay, but so this thing is exactly that's. So you don't have. He says the relics are something. It's like there's too much energy that we can't control. And we can't conjure that up, so we use something to do it for us. Yes. You're describing the sling ring. You can't control this portal without this, so that's what these are for.
Okay.
It's a relic that like any sorcerer can use, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. I just kind of wanted to relegate relics to something that's been, or I guess, passed down from ancient knowledge and whatnot, as opposed to, I don't even know where sling rings come from, but it just seemed too run of the mill.
It was like, it seemed like everyone at the school of Kamartaj like had a sling ring.
Yes, and everyone can open a portal to somewhere else.
But yeah, they had tons of them. But when you go to the bad guys, like Caecilius's team, like it's just him. Like none of his guys. I think maybe one of them, but like he has a bunch of henchmen in the movie that he loses because he's the only one with the sling ring. And by the time he's done creating it, he jumps in it. And if you haven't left with him,
yeah, he still has a henchman wandering around the desert. That poor bastard. How do you think about the well, let's train him in a hurry. We're just going to put him on Everest. And if he doesn't freeze to death, he wins.
Yeah, she basically goes, look, I'm just going to kill you unless you decide to save yourself.
That's tough love, man.
Before
that's
that, we kind of glossed over, they've already shown Dormammu at this point. Strange comes into contact with him like right before he gets pulled back.
Yeah, the astral dimension. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which, I mean, maybe you couldn't tell at first that was Dormammu, but there is someone out there who's just staring at you who's way bigger than you. Like, what the fuck is this? That's kind of creepy.
Yes, and we should talk about the bad guy's plan, because Caecilius comes back into the movie. I suppose you're meant to understand that after he's stolen this page from the book of Cagliostro, he spent the majority of the movie wishing he'd stolen the rest of the book because he's spending the entire time trying to figure out how to open a portal so that Dormammu can get through. So this will thrust us into the rest of the action where do you know how they got to the sanctum in London? Do you recall that sequence of weirdness? Wong, Strange, and Mordo. Actually, initially just Strange at first. Strange is propelled by an explosion because something weird happened.
Oh,
and now
they went downstairs and like Caecilius and his gang had like this weird ball of energy and they slammed it into the ground, and then I think he got thrown in. Well, those doors, there was like 3 doors that just led to those sanctums. He got knocked through one of them, right? But I guess it was a one-way door?
I mean, or something. They do so much with teleportation, but doors to different portals. Like a lot of magic apparently is traversing large distances in short times. So that gets us in London, where there's apparently only one person guarding all of London from anything evil that could ever happen.
That one guy. That was a ghost town. That was and then Strange just rolls up. Stop! Don't kill him. Oh, this guy?
Well, let's get some because has he already acquired the Eye of Agamotto? Does he have that at this point?
Yeah.
He was wearing that on his neck during the fight? No,
okay,
right?
Maybe not. Maybe not.
God, no. They wouldn't just let him have that. He's brand new. But so, did he already do the apple trick? I think
that might have been... Okay, wait, no. They called him out. When he did the apple trick, they put that little... they put him in the diamond... What's that dimension called again? I keep forgetting.
Mirror dimension.
They put that around his hand, I guess, when he pulled out. He had that green hand. Who knows?
Yeah, they sent his hand to the mirror dimension. Yeah, I know what happened now. They just they told him to put it back.
But finally, we get to see Majin Caecilius.
Yeah,
he finally has those cool eyes and all these powers where he can just bend reality, or platforms, I suppose.
Yes, and he had the Justice League Steppenwolf strategy of bringing on the Dark Lord as a motive for a character. So it made him different from Malakath. And you see that shot when he's in the that really wicked magical restraint sex dungeon thing that they had him in.
Yeah.
When they zoom in on his face, you're really brought into his plight of I don't want to kill all of you. I mean, I'm going to, but it's for a good purpose. Yeah, Dormammu's kind of the shit, and you all need to recognize. And Strange had this good line. It's like, you're not a good guy. Look at your face.
Right.
You look ridiculous.
You look like bad guy.
Yeah.
I really liked Wong in this movie. You getting that? That dude funny or what? He's just like, I am the new kid. Like the story he told about how he became the new keeper. He's like, yeah, they cut off this guy's head, and he like closes the door and he sticks his big fat head up in the screen. He's like, now I am the new keeper. He's just got these books.
Yeah, and he was a large part of the comic relief to it. And like the Beyonce joke with the headphones, where he's just not understanding Eminem, nothing, no references. So
Aristotle.
Yeah, I felt like the humor was sprinkled in a manner that kept the story flowing instead of detracting from it. In fact, it's really only Wong and the cape.
Yeah.
What is that thing called?
I have it.
While you find that, let's take a break, and we'll get back into the evil plans of our bad guys. Between the Cloak of Levitation, the Eye of Agamotto, the Staff of Watum, and the Boots of Kobe Bryant, I should have pulled up like a full cast list just for the items that we have to name in this movie.
The Cloak of Levitation, I thought you meant like who made the item. I was just like, I don't know. Is there a guy named Levitation?
You're ridiculous.
Well, I assume Watum is a person, right?
Mm-hmm. I imagine.
Yeah, and the boots of Gondor or whatever it was,
or something.
But okay.
Yeah.
Hey, I found out. So when he met Caecilius, Strange, he had the Eye of Agamotto. He was in the library doing that shit with the apple. This guy already knew how to use the time stone.
Well, he learned it. Okay, so this is where that book comes into play. This is why he should have stolen the whole book.
Because the next page.
In addition to having the warning on it, also has exactly what Strange needs to figure out the rest of the plot of the movie, which is that Dormammu is coming.
Mm-hmm.
And during that battle with Caecilius, Caecilius reveals to Strange that the Ancient One is drawing power from the Dark Dimension, and this is what creates a rift between Mordo, Strange, and the Ancient One. Mordo is so wrapped up in the
natural law.
Yeah, is that what he says?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And so yeah, he feels like the Ancient One is fucking with natural law drawing her power from there. And honestly, like, he should be a little more inquisitive in the beginning, because I think that was one of the first things that Strange says to Mordo during the training sequence of, hey, do you know why she's so old? Does anybody ever talk about that?
The ancient one, like how ancient we talking? Forget everything you think you know, and move on.
And also don't
American.
ask any questions.
I was disrespectful once too.
I
what's
once
this, my
stood
mantra?
where you are. Yeah, he's an actual like 5th degree black belt in karate, so he looks really convincing doing his fighting moves. But he also has great faces, like in the scene coming up where they have to go after Caecilius again because they let him go the first time, and he's a grown all new henchman and is now fucking up the streets of London. Strange opens up a portal to the mirror dimension so that they can fight without ruining anybody's day, and Caecilius uses the mirror dimension really, really well. And
ever since he got the Majin power,
something
from
like that.
Dormammu, yeah, he didn't know how to use that when he first met Ancient One at the beginning of the movie.
Well, he didn't seem too perplexed by it, so I assume that he knew of the mirror dimension. Whichever. He Strange turns to Mordo and goes, "This was a mistake." And Mordo has a face like, "You think?" This is really, really bad.
Well, Mordo already told him earlier. He's just like, what did he say? He said, us being in here is suicide. Like, yeah, fine. Like, they're stuck in here until they get your sling ring. They're gonna kill you. Get out of here with the sling ring, and then they'll just take over everywhere else. But now you've killed us both because we're stuck in here with them.
Yeah, it seems like there were 20 different ways to open portals, so I wasn't too worried about them. But they do kill the Ancient One, though. And it's one of my favorite scenes in the movie where they bring her back to the hospital in New York, and she projects herself out of her body, all astral formy, to holding on to the last seconds of life, and the little lightning is streaking across the sky while they're having a conversation. I thought that was neat.
Yeah, it was, but none of this would have happened if Strange would have remembered that he had the Eye of Agamotto and he could just reverse the ravages of time.
What do you want to create? Time loops? You want to spend your days?
No, see,
with an apple. An apple, by the way, meant to symbolize the forbidden fruit of knowledge, man. You can't just go around fucking with time. Especially when life is on the line. What did the genie say from Aladdin? I can't bring people back from the dead.
Okay, damn, you remember that.
He
does it to save the movie, though. Like when he's rewinding all the time, and then he points it at Wong, and then he points it over at Mordo to pull them out of the time reverse effect.
Oh yeah, this is when they're in Hong Kong.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. What was the catalyst for him reversing all the cars flying out of the air? Like, why did he decide on that?
Well, he was trying to reverse Mordo being like he was trying to reverse time in general from Mordo coming to just make it go backwards, right? And then he was pulling his friends out to help him fight because he knew that Caecilius was going to break out of this at some point, I guess.
Cheesy Pete's, man.
Right?
It seems like he's ruining somebody's stir fry, at least. You know?
I'm saying, okay, how he like beats the boss of this movie is like, with Strange on your team, Thanos is nothing.
Ooh, I'm inclined to disagree.
Okay, we'll go over this later when we're done with the movie.
Actually, let's get to there right now, because after the Ancient One dies, they pretty much gear up. Now Strange has all of his toys. He's got the cloak, he's got the eye, he's got the knowledge. So it's him, Wong, and Mordo against Caecilius in a gaping hole in the sky. And I really like the way that they subverted, because at this point we had seen giant beams and holes in the sky for at least 5 of the last bajillion movies that we've seen. Mm-hmm. So I thought it was cute that they found a different way to deal with the omnipresent hole in the sky. Strange has just reversed time. Everything is going to shit. And he says, you know what? I have an idea. He puts like 3 green watches of time on there meant to symbolize the infinity loop that he's about to put Dormammu in. He says, let's go up there and have a chat with him. A great plan, by the way. This is one of the best ways I've seen of dealing with the villain.
He doesn't put so let's hone in on what's actually happening here. He doesn't put Dormammu in the loop. He reverses the time, like, so
he sets a timer essentially
for if he dies, it just like reverses, because Dormammu catches on at some point with what's going on. Even though he lives beyond time, things still happen. So if the guy keeps coming back and saying, "Hey, I have," what did he say? "I've come to bargain."
Dormammu, I've come to bargain.
Listen to me.
Over and over.
Because he kills him a ton of different ways. It just doesn't make sense to him at first, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Now, and this is why Thanos wouldn't have as much of a problem dealing with this, is that Dormammu doesn't perceive time. He lives beyond the experience of time. So this is a new thing for him. It's really infuriating and confusing to him. He's still way more powerful than Strange, but he doesn't understand this new thing that he's having to deal with. Thanos does.
Means he can still control time. Like, it would just reverse the time of Thanos to when he's a baby, cut off his head.
You're taking it to the depths of the extreme, and like, I feel like he can only do it. And granted, this is what I warned you about at the top of the show, about the limitations and of magic and the far reaches of it. No, I don't think you can just take one person, turn him into a baby, and then stab that baby. I don't
see why there's anything he can't do with that, dude. He reversed the time for just him, so like at the expiration of his life, he would just come back, and that expiration happened once every 10 seconds. He was reversing all of time on Earth until, I don't remember exactly why it paused. I guess because he left. That's why. Because Doctor Strange left. He was just like, "Fuck this, I'm out."
And okay, there were things that Dormammu could have done that I think Thanos would definitely do if caught in the same situation. One, just torture his ass. You don't need to kill him over and over again. You can just make it unbearable to be alive until he decides to break you out of a time loop. Until he's like, okay, time out. I didn't think of this one.
Damn.
Well, I know a little bit about Dormammu from the comics, but he resides in the dark dimension. He's largely ethereal until there was this one comic with Mordo conscripts him for some revenge plot against Strange, and like the Dormammu Tournament of Power style confronts Strange in like a one-on-one fist fight type deal. So the Dormammu is largely Strange's arch enemy in the comic, but yeah, he's just hell-bent on taking over all realities, as it were. Not like Galactus in that he wants to eat them, but he just wants to exert his will on reality, as it were. But yeah, he lives beyond the ability to make it into our universe without some kind of help. And this is where the worshippers come into play. You have to have a bunch of henchmen to call upon Dormammu in order for him to be allowed into this world.
What a crazy villain, dude. Like, there's been no one else there's been other characters that are old and in our same universe, but this guy's a part of some other universe where he comes in as some god.
Well, yeah, think of it like the Celestials, or maybe even like an Infinity Stone, where he's sort of been around since before, time and the universe were created. Essentially, yeah, he's one of those.
I always get lost. What does that mean? This universe or his universe? Does that mean time itself?
Fine, the multiverse. He's one of the elemental things that cause the creation of everything. He's just been around. Yeah. He's just been around. You're hurting.
I don't know. There. I don't know what to think. Oh God.
Well, and that's why I thought that scene was particularly cool, and that you can't go toe to toe with this guy. You literally have to strike a bargain. Leave my people alone,
or I'll annoy you,
and I will let you stop experiencing time, because this must suck for you. Pain's an old friend. Payne's an old friend.
Yeah, some of his one-liners. Do you understand what I'm talking about when I say kill you? You had one car accident. What do you mean Payne's an old friend? It was a terrible...
a little grandiose for him to say.
He's literally just going, yeah, well, I don't care. Yeah, but still is the phrase I suppose that I'm looking for here. But yeah, I think it's funny how what the Ancient One like needs to draw power from the dark side to stay young when there's just a perfectly good Infinity Stone, a Time Stone, just right there, and there's the instruction manual. it's right over there.
But
it's one of the 14 books.
I don't think that's how time works, though. I don't think you can just turn back the clock on yourself. I mean, you would have to, create some kind of spell, right, to keep that up forever or indefinitely. I don't think you're allowed to freeze time in that moment. Golly, we're getting deep into
just rewind. Well, look, okay, look, there's that scene where, what's his name, is Stephen Strange is learning how to use time, and he uses it to reverse the apple that he's already taken bites out of.
Mm-hmm.
And then he moves the apple out of the way to put the book up there, and the book's already there. It's like, I don't know what that's about, and he's just like, I need to aim up.
Yeah, so he was pointing it at specific objects. And that was weird to me, because now, how come just that page in the book comes back for, what he's looking at? Does it take, wherever Caecilius is with that page, like, say Caecilius is holding that page in his hand.
No, did it take it from him?
Disappear from his hand?
I don't.
How does that work?
Oh, yeah. See, now you're asking stupid questions.
No, that seems incredibly important to how time works, right?
Well, because... Yeah, I suppose the pieces of apple are now not in Strange's body. Dude, that's great for dieting. I'm just saying, it's right there, and there's the instruction manual, but she's like, no, I'm just going to draw power from the dark realm, and tell everybody it's not okay, and I'm going to have these 14 books that are wound up for some reason with chains, and you just touch the chain and it falls off. It's kind of like these aren't secret at all.
Yeah, there was really no locking mechanism for that. I saw that the prologue of this film, they were going to open this film with a scene in CERN with two astrophysicists just talking or giving a lecture on like astral theory and quantum mechanics and whatnot, but the directors decided that would be too heady for your summertime action blockbuster.
Yeah, we're going to explain to you how it works.
Yeah, but like concepts like like essentially magic. They're dealing in magic. They decided to pull that scene out or not even film it to begin with.
I don't think I was lacking it. I mean, like, it not being there didn't affect my experience, I don't think.
Yeah, no. And it also definitely would not have enhanced it. Like, oh, that's how time works. No, you would not have learned. You would not have learned.
But I think it was funny after what's his name, when Strange puts the Eye of Agamotto down, and then, like, Wong is just like, you'll use it again once you've mastered its powers. And it's like, I just defeated Dormammu. I did everything but bring the Ancient One back to life and undo the ravages of my hand.
We raised it a little bit with Pangborn in that how much of his attention would have to go to keeping his hands steady indefinitely, as it were. Like, it's largely the same problem that Cable has. So that Cable from the Deadpool Cable, and generally just Cable from who Cable is. He's a telepath and a telekinetic, but you never really get to see him use any of his powers because it goes largely to keeping the techno-organic virus that is his arm at bay. So he mostly just carries guns and shoots people because he uses the majority of his power to keep from being eaten by an alien. So maybe that's the same.
Does that give him any power at all? The arm is cool, right?
No, the arm is a very bad thing. The arm is trying to eat his body.
So is it at least strong like the Winter
Nope.
Soldier?
Nope. It's all organic virus.
But what does he do? Okay, now that we're off topic,
like a
let's continue. Like, what is happening in the X-Men cartoon series? Like, where he just he's like talking to some AI, and it kind of tells him like, "Oh, Apocalypse is over here," and if you look over here, like, there's the mutant.
Yeah, he's from the future. He has access to
none of that
essentially
is him.
Jarvis that opens portals into other places of time.
So his superpower is keeping him alive.
Yes. This is what he uses it for.
Terrible.
And it's sad. What are our Stan Lee cameos? We kind of missed it when we were talking about it, but go on. Where's our Stan Lee?
When Mordo and Stephen Strange are running away in the mirror dimension from Caecilius, they fall like on a bus, and it has like Stan Lee in there, and he's laughing at something, saying, "Ha ha, that's hilarious." And then like they hit the bus window, and they just kind of run away. It looks like Mordo may have made eye contact with him. Not sure.
And let's see, we've got 2 post-credit scenes. Only one of them is important, and that is Doctor Strange meeting one Thor, Odin's son, as it were. We haven't seen him in a few movies. What is Thor up to?
Looks like he's trying to. He brought his brother there, trying to find their daddy. And then one Strange finds out, like, well, he has this little funny bit where he's given Thor tea, and he finds out his Viking ass only drinks beer, so he gives him an unlimited supply of beer. And
this was done largely in the way of a Civil War with Bucky's arm in that little machine. I wonder if this scene was lifted as it is from the Thor Ragnarok movie. I feel like it was edited differently when Ragnarok.
I think so too.
Was in theaters. Yeah,
but it's still scenes from the next movie. It's kind of that's I'm not liking all that so much. It's essentially the trailer bit. It's like, here, we're just gonna ruin this, and it's like, so it's not extra. It's just asshole.
I'm 100% with you on that. They
but it's funny, and
shit.
He's essentially just telling Thor, look, I don't like you guys being here, so I'll do whatever I can to expedite you guys getting the hell out of here. I do not like your brother at all.
I've been keeping a list of extra dimensional threats, and I have your name right next to Dormammu on a list of world-threatening events. Yeah. And then the other scene sets up Mordo as the next antagonist for Strange against Penguin.
Important. That should be important for the next Doctor Strange movie.
For the next Doctor Strange movie, yeah, but
it's totally important.
We kind of knew that.
It's Mordo's being a bitch. Like, he decided not to study the same practice as Stephen Strange and Wong and whatnot anymore. He's like, I'm just going to be over here being a bad guy, essentially. I'll meet you guys later. I'm just going to go pick on weak sorcerers.
Well, he was really tied up in the Ancient One's teaching, and when she turned out not to be the gangster-ass good guy that he thought she was, then Mordo decided to kill all sorcerers and any magic users on the planet because he's pissed. There needs to be less of you assholes destroying with the natural order of life. And he's taken it upon himself to right that wrong. And yeah, going after Penguin's a bit of a bitch move, but it's a training course for taking out his former protege.
You know what I feel like I noticed right after the scene where Strange puts down the Eye of Agamotto? I think they show him putting on a watch that is Rachel McAdams got him. What's her name? Christine Palmer. Okay. And it seemed like he looked at his hands that like maybe he did that easier than normal. Like his hands may be slowly getting better. I feel like there was some emphasis on that in that scene. Like he slipped on the watch and maybe he wasn't able to do that before, and he was tightening it and he was just like they're still shaky, but hey,
I'm gonna need like another shaving scene to see how much use of his hands he's gotten back. But it doesn't seem like he's suffering nearly as much. And I mean, granted, you don't even need your hands to cast a spell, according to that one monk who just does not even have an arm connected at the elbow. So
he has an arm. He doesn't have like from the wrist. There's nothing there.
Yeah, it looked like a sizable portion of his arm was missing. But either way, he's still good at magic.
So what'd you think of this movie, dog?
I going over it with you was fun. Watching it this last time was all right. I want it to come out, or it would have been better if it came out in 2009, 8 or 9 or 10, just right after The Incredible Hulk or before Thor, after Captain America, one of those movies, because it feels like we're just watching another origin movie. And because we've seen so many, this is definitely just me being spoiled. But it felt very paint by numbers. Felt very, oh, cool. We already know what audiences like. We already know all the dance moves we have to hit, all the notes we have to play to resonate with people. So yeah. Let's just play all of the hits.
It's all about telling the story, though, right? And they told the
true,
story.
But even then, I felt like Strange was largely Tony Stark in places. If you're I felt like Caecilius was fun in parts, but a henchman for threats larger than him. It was serviceable. It was okay. There's no way you can call this movie bad, but it's now I know that Doctor Strange is in the MCU. That's how I feel about it.
Super entertaining.
Definitely, visually,
visually, yeah.
Okay, I'll give it that.
Is this the second movie in Phase 3? I liked it. I liked it a little bit less this time, because I was kind of feeling what you're saying now, or a little bit earlier, where it was kind of like a lot of the graphics were really grabbing the 13-year-old me, just going, yes, this is awesome. And I mean, I know these movies are kind of set up for everybody, but like it just seemed like a lot of the money that was spent towards the making of this movie was just about the background. And so that kind of, I guess that turned me off a little bit from the movie, because I feel like there's more that they could include, but maybe they will in the next film. But they showed a lot of funny scenes in this movie that I kind of liked. I think there was the cloak of levitation. It's got characteristics. It's pretty funny, but it likes to save him. It's like his best friend now. It tries to give him the best option. They wanted to play
it like the carpet from Aladdin. Golly, that is the third time I've brought up Aladdin. I think it's specifically because of the goddamn cloak. But yeah. How do you feel about the carpet? I'm sorry, the cloak of levitation, adding a comic relief to it, like specifically it wiping the blood from his cheek.
Yeah, that
part he's trying to have his little hero moment. Yeah,
he's trying to bend it and make himself look cool, like a Kevin Arnold from the Wonder Years when he flips his collar up. But yeah, the whole stop it. It's like I'm not sure that it's probably going to be its own little character in the next movie. I'm fine with that though. If it's just him just fucking around with his life-saving cloak, because there's like those boots that what's his name's got, Mordo, like those are awesome as hell, and so is the whip. The boots way more. That cloak trumps both of them. That thing is insane. It saved him so many times.
It's sentient.
It's ridiculous.
Your boots and your wand do not have a mind. Yeah.
The boots thing, I feel like he didn't use enough. Like, can you just keep climbing with those? Like, if you're just walking upstairs?
Probably.
It's like, well, then as long as you can keep yourself upright, you should never be falling, I suppose.
I mean, we got to call Watum. I think I got his phone.
That's the wand of Watum. I don't remember who owned the boots.
Yeah. What did the boots belong to? Kobe?
Aglios.
Shaq? I don't know.
What was this? The second or third movie of Phase 3?
This is second.
It's definitely not the better then. Civil War was pretty damn awesome.
And what are we doing next?
Next, we get the Guardians of the Galaxy 2, of which the timeline apparently is.
Yeah, we go back in time for this one. It happens literally 3 months after Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1,
which I'm okay with, because for the most part they haven't had a lot of inclusion on planet Earth, other than
literally none.
Not since Peter Quill, and since they what's it called when the aliens pick you up?
When you get abducted?
Abduction. Yeah. There we go. When he was abducted, yeah.
What's it called when the aliens pick you up? Yeah. I do want to encourage some more fucking participation on behalf of our viewers / listeners, but we don't ask enough questions of our audience. We have plenty for ourselves. We're dumb as rocks, but we don't tell the audience to do anything. But yeah,
we can tell them to tweet us
at infinitywarmup@gmail. That's also our handle on Twitter, and that's where you can find us on Facebook too. But like a poll or something. I know I'm in charge of the social medias, but I don't really know how to interact with these fuckfaces.
Yeah, you and me both, dude. I barely know how to keep up this side of the conversation. But I'm glad these movies are good enough that like anyone who's listening to this podcast already saw it, and they're just like, yeah, I liked it. I can agree with some of the shit these guys have to say. Pretty goofy. I suppose that's all we're asking from you viewers. But there's no overall question for a poll. Like, what would the poll be? Like, do we have the rank of our numbers right or wrong? Phase 1 and 2?
I mean,
you know what we should include? We are finishing up on these MCU movies. Like, honestly, we got Guardians 2. Then we have Spider-Man Homecoming. After that, Thor just came out on Blu-ray. And I don't think Black Panther will come out before Infinity War. So we're basically caught up. We need some other shit to do. Thinking about taking it over to the TV side of Netflix. Because I still have Netflix. Maybe hitting up Daredevil. I guess if we're going to go that route, we can skip Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and maybe do all the other origins, though.
Well, I'm kind of a fan of randomly grabbing comic book movies as they relate to Marvel and like doing a one-off between like a good one and a bad one. So like I know you like Logan, so if we do Logan, then we have to do like fucking Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer or some shit. So that would be fun and miserable both at the same time.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's places to go. But for now, good night.
Like watching porn without the sex.
Superhero crossovers.
You just like dab them in his blood. Threw them on the table.
Look what you did.
Where they at? Get ready.
That's probably the only thing that could kill Thanos. Just an angry John Wick coming at you. It's a fucking dog, man. He just shoots him right in the head.